Hey kindergarten friends, today we are going to be creating our own version of a very famous painting. This painting is Claude Monet's Waterlily's Bridge. This is a picture of a bridge, a Japanese style bridge, that curves over a small pond. And in that pond you see lots of water lilies and different reeds and rushes growing up out of the sides. And then in the background you can see beautiful trees like willows coming down. Let's get started. Here's what we're going to need today to create our picture. You're going to need some crayons. Crayons, you actually only need a few colors. You need a couple shades of blue, a couple shades of green, and maybe even a yellow as well. You don't really need any of the other colors. That's all you're going to need as far as crayons today. Also, you're going to need a piece of white paper. And also, if you'd like to use paint, you can use some paint as well. I'm going to use some watercolor paint, but the paint is totally optional. You do not have to have the paint. As long as you have some crayons and some paper, you're good to go. Here's how we're going to start our picture. We're going to begin by drawing our bridge. Our bridge is going to be pretty easy. What you're going to do to start is you're going to draw a curved line going across your whole paper. I'm using my paper landscape style, which is long ways like this. You're going to draw a curved line going across the middle of your paper, just like that. And then right underneath that curved line, you're going to draw a curved line just the same. So it's going to look just about the same as that line, just a little bit below it. There is your second curved line. You can see I'm using a dark blue to do mine because I think that kind of matches the way Monet's bridge was drawn. So then to finish your bridge, you're going to draw some vertical lines. Vertical just means up and down, going in between your two curved lines. Try to space them about the same distance apart. And go all the way from one side to the other. And there's our bridge. All right? You might want to go in and darken up the bottom just so it looks a little bit thicker than the top. So I'm just going to go through and go like that and add a little bit more thickness to the bottom of my bridge so it looks a little bit sturdier and safer to walk across. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start by adding some of the trees that are in the background. Now those trees, they look to me like weeping willow trees. So I'm going to start by drawing just some kind of curvy tree shapes coming from the top on both sides. They're just kind of little curves, almost like half circles, and I'm just drawing them on top of each other so it looks full. All right? I'm going to add some in the middle too. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in with another shade of green. This one is a yellow green, and I'm going to add some like vines almost that are coming down. These are just kind of like squiggly lines, and they're coming down. They can even go past your bridge all the way down, and it's starting to make my background look a little bit fuller. It's going to look more like a beautiful landscape with those vines coming down. All right, now we're going to go down to the water part. So in the water, we're going to start by using our green, and you're going to add some lines coming in from the sides. I'm just going to come in from both directions, in from the sides of your picture a little bit. As many as you want. You don't have to add too many, but you can add as many as you want. And these are going to end up being our reeds. Some people call them cattails or rushes. They're going to come in from the sides. You're going to do your green lines first. And then you just go in with a brown crayon. I know in the beginning I said you only needed blue and green, but I forgot you're going to need a brown just for this one little part. And then you can add the tops to your rushes or your reeds on the sides. You'll see these a lot if you ever go to a pond. You'll see those cattails growing along the side. I bet a lot of you guys have seen those already. Then inside, in between your cattails, you're going to start adding some lily pads. All right? So lily pads are just little circles, and color them in. Now he calls this painting water lilies, so of course we're going to have some lily pads if there's water lilies in the picture. And a lot of times if you go to a pond, you'll see these. Sometimes you might even see a little frog sitting on one of them. If you wanted to add something like that, feel free to. That would be a really cool detail. So I'm adding a few different lily pads to my picture. Different shapes and sizes. It's starting to make it look a little more realistic. If you want to, too, you could even go in and add a little flower to some of them because they call them water lilies, so they do grow a flower on them. If you wanted to make yours a little more detailed and draw some flowers on them, I think that would look great. You don't have to if you don't want to. Do it the way you want it. And then the last thing is we're going to make our pond look like it has water in it. Right now it's white. It doesn't look like there's any water in it. So you're going to take a couple different shades of blue and you can do some lines. These are horizontal lines, which are side-to-side lines. And we're trying to make them look kind of like brush strokes, like you were using paint. When Monet painted his, he used oil paint. So oil paint, a lot of times when you see a picture that is made out of oil paint, it has these really cool brush strokes that actually stand up off the picture and give it some texture. So use a couple different blues to do that, and you'll start to look more detailed. All right? If you have watercolor paint, you might want to take your watercolor paint and add some more color to your picture. All right, you don't have to do this. If you do have the paint, I think it looks great to add a little bit more color, especially since we're painting water. Watercolor paint is the best paint to paint water because it really makes it look much more realistic. And you could paint right over your crayons with water if you have watercolor paint. And look, it'll start to look even more like a real pond. But like I said, if you don't have that paint, don't worry about it. No big deal. Maybe just add some more color with your crayons, and it'll start to look a little bit more detailed. So there's my pond part. If you want with your watercolor paint, you could even go in with some green too. And at the top, go over your trees with some green and give it some more details. You know, even mix in a little yellow maybe if you wanted to make it look a little lighter. If you wanted to make it look a little darker, you could even mix a little blue in up there. But do it the way you want it. I want you guys to be creative and do your own version of Monet's water lilies and the bridge. All right? I can't wait to see what you guys create. Please post at the Seesaw whenever you guys finish.